Today's topic of conversation: should poor people be allowed to have nice things? Arguing in the negative is Poppy Trickledown Jr., head of the rich suburban interlopers of America, with Mary Trailer Park Johnson arguing in the affirmative. Ladies, begin.
Well, I would just like to start off by clearing some things up. Though I might be arguing that poor people do not deserve nice things, let me just say that I did not grow up with a silver spoon shoved down my gob, okay? I'm a self-made woman. People think that just because my family owns oxygen that I had it easy, okay? And I want to clear up that misconception right now. My family was not subsidizing me living some sort of disgustingly ostentatious life in a penthouse. I had a humble loft in Soho, and let me tell you, I had to rub shoulders with so many insufferable NYU students. Every time I see a poster for that weird little French indie movie Amélie about that pixie-haired incel girl, or God forbid a copy of anything written by Judith Butler, I get PTSD flashbacks, okay? I've not had an easy life. I am fully self-made. I started my own subscription-based program where me and some other unlicensed therapists essentially bully our clientele into having eating disorders. I busted my ass working 5 hours every single day, 3 days a week. And yes, perhaps my father did wrangle the initial investors in my company by threatening to, perhaps release some compromising photos that he took on their yearly trips to Bangkok. But aside from that, I built everything myself. So whenever I see poor people whining and shouting about, not being able to afford their insulin or whatever, I think to myself, what about some personal accountability? Okay, you chose to be diabetic. You chose to be born on Long Island. You chose to have an absent father that had nothing to offer you and your mother except some BBC. First they wanted food and we said, fine, here, have your little ho-hos. Eat up, piggies. The person I'm speaking to has one of their offspring, I'm assuming, licking their own feet and genitals. I mean, they like absolutely any sort of decorum. But wealthy people being kind and very big-hearted, and not just because of the inbreeding, but because we're generous, we said, fine, look, have your food. Then they said, oh, we want human rights. And we said, okay, fine, we'll give you the illusion that you have any of those. Now they want affordable housing, and all of a sudden, they want nice things. I'm sorry. Isn't that ring that you inherited from your yaya, who smuggled her jewelry Pulp Fiction style through the Holocaust? Is that not enough for you? Now you want clothes that fit you? All of a sudden they want, fancy purses where the designer's name is not misspelled. I mean, can you imagine walking into a Nordstrom and rubbing shoulders with one of these cretins? The clear delineation between rich and wealthy would start to deteriorate. I've already begun to witness the poor encroaching into our sacred wealthy spaces. The other day, one of my neighbors, who I spy on constantly with my binoculars, had one of her little rugrats bring their little middle class and lower class friends over into my gated community, and I saw them doing what I was later informed was a little dance, but to me it looked like it was some sort of gang initiation ceremony. In front of their phones, they recorded the whole thing. It was shameless. All I'm saying is that it's a slippery slope.
Miss Poppy, the topic at hand is a ridiculous statement, okay? Truly an ignorant person would say such things. Do poor people deserve nice things? I mean, this country was built upon the very backs of poor people. See, this is the issue with generational wealth. You would think that it is your birthright to have nice things handed to you. And then you take your tainted blood money and you pay off these poor people to do your dirty work. They're the ones delivering your food to your door, all because you can't be bothered to get off your Ozempic ass and walk down the street to your favorite organic cafe. On top of that, you decide not to tip them because somehow it's their fault that your little cafe is out of their hemp milk. Meanwhile, you've spent the day blogging about what it's like to be a girl boss and start up your own business, even though the only thing that you contributed to said business was a whack-ass name and a dumbass tagline, luxury toilet paper everyone can enjoy. I mean, honestly, no one fucking needs your toilet paper that is supplemented and has vitamin D in it, so it's actually adding nutrients back into your body when you wipe. Only a dumbass fucking ignorant prick would actually try to sell such things. Meanwhile, you've never even wiped your own ass to begin with. All of this to say that poor people are most deserving of these nice things. Meanwhile, you're twiddling your fucking thumbs and thinking to yourself, I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. Do you have any questions?
I do actually have a question for little Miss TJ Maxx Blazer. When will it be enough for you people? The wealthy have nothing. We don't even have New York. The freaking Saudis and Russians bought that up. We have a little section of Martha's Vineyard, but my God, are the Italians encroaching on that. If we start giving up the little segment of Americana that we have left, only the few trillions of dollars that are still within our bank accounts, at what point do you think the poor will finally be satiated?
The answer to that is it will never be enough. Nothing will ever be enough for the people who have suffered at the hands of you rich fascists.
If it wasn't for the wealthy that you sad little people live vicariously through, what would keep you going? Your mediocre little families? I mean, I'm recording this from the room of one of my sons who's a freaking gamer. He wears cat ears all the time. So my God, do I regret having him.
I'm sure you do. I think the question at hand shouldn't be, do poor people deserve nice things? It should be, should rich people reproduce?
You know, I'm not gonna lie, that might be the one point of agreement that we have between the two of us. I mean, if it was up to me, I would sort of freeze my eggs, get them inseminated by some Aryan-looking man who's over 6 feet, and then have them raised in some sort of British, you know, boarding institution until they're drained of any empathy, any light behind their eyes, and, you know, they're finally going to be able to compete with the Chinese, which is my primary concern.
Would you even be able to identify your 17-year-old, soon-to-be next Jeffrey Dahmer country club roofie selling frat boy son in a police lineup? I mean, my guess is probably not.
That's an overachiever.
You pop out children like accessories and you have them on your liposuctioned hip, and then you pass them off to whatever nanny you have in rotation the second you no longer want to see them. I mean, honestly, stop.
Okay, first of all, I would be able to identify my son simply by the scent of Dracour Noir, which we have injected into them as infants. So they have a natural aura. They don't even have to spritz themselves anymore. So I would be able to identify him. Or perhaps I could drop a little bit of blood from this vial that I carry around with me around my neck at all times, just in case, you know, just in case I've been in an accident and I need a blood transfusion. I want to make sure that it's my own blood going into my own body. I can't afford to have some sort of D-lister, O-negative type blood running through my veins. If I was to drop, you know, a little hint of that blood on the floor, I know for a fact that my son, because of the years of bloodthirst that have been bred into him, would immediately start snarling like a sort of injured dog trying to lap it up. So yes, I would be able to identify my son in a lineup, and I wouldn't even have to use my eyes.
At this point, I think you just talk to hear your own self-talk. Do you even know what you're saying? You're making no sense.
No, all of my friends I have on my payroll, and all they do is sort of nod and say, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, and
sure,
you're so sexy, and you look even hotter now even after you've had kids. And you know what? I think that's probably the most genuine friendship that I've ever had in my entire life.
I'm sure your husband is fucking all of your friends.
Yes, and I watch. Sometimes I record. What's the problem?
You are sick. You are a sick human being, and I wish you well, and I think we're done here.
Well, I do have another little question for you. I mean, you're rallying for the case of the poor man trying to have nice things, but consider, how will these people actually take care of their luxury goods? Okay, I've seen firsthand what happens when you let people from an impoverished background into our sacred spaces. Look what happened with the tech bros. Look at someone like a Jeff Bezos, who's from Ohio or something. A state that I don't even think really exists. I've never been to an Ohio, okay? I've never mastered the concept of object permanence. If I can't see it, it's not real. Look how they dress. They look like the cucked husband in every single sort of gross, you know, BBC porno. Is that what you want? Is that what you want the next generation of wealthy people to look like?
Maybe. If that means equality, if that means a lot of people no longer having to worry about how they're going to pay rent the next day, then sure, that is exactly what I want. I mean, look how you dress. Just because you're wearing name brand head to toe doesn't mean you have style. You do realize that, right?
No, actually, this is from Gianni Versace's post-assassination collection. Nobody even knew. He was scribbling these on napkins while he was getting treatment for his AIDS. And I feel very proud to be donning this. I can't really tell the difference between having style and wearing name brands. Unless you're wearing too many of them at the same time, like those gross, disgusting little Jersey Shore gremlins.
You sound like a fucking imbecile. Do you know what that is? Can you spell that?
Yes, I went.
Where did you get your education, Miss Poppy?
I went to Yale, and only partially because my father bribed the dean.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
I mean, soon you'll have the wealthy of the next generation all dressed like closeted substitute teachers that the children yell homophobic slurs at, and they go into the rec room and cry. And it's deserved because they're weak and they deserve to be mocked. Is that what you want? Everyone to dress like a Mark Zuck? I've seen that chode of a man and his doctor wife, and it's embarrassing, okay? They seem to have some semblance of love for each other, which I just think is completely uncosmopolitan. What is that on your hand? A marking of some sort?
It's called a tattoo.
Is that so your parents know what to call you? Is that so they remember what your name is? They don't just call you girl number 57?
I would rather be inked up with tattoos than marked all over my body from your many liposuctions, your many Ozempic pricks, your many
They don't leave marks.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Lift up your teat. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of scars from the many boob jobs you had.
No, because I had a third baby purely to use for stem cells, and so they just used those for skin regrowth. So I don't have any scars.
Miss Poppy, I wish you the best of luck on your journey. I think we're done here.
Well, I would just like the audience to know that none of my questions were actually answered. Like I said before, I said, when will it be enough? And she said, absolutely never. So to any people out there who have any semblance of money, who are not in debt, who might have had, let's just say, a few ancestors that might have owned a few slave ships and refuse to apologize for that, this is what happens when you open your doors to the impoverished. They will take, and they will take, and they will take. There was one little, sort of documentary called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and I think that's precisely what will happen when you open your door to rats. Don't be surprised when you wake up covered in vermin. I rest my case.
There you have it, folks. I think that answers what needs to be answered.
Well, I'm very glad that you could take a break from your shift at Sears to have this conversation with me.
I'm glad you can break away from your fucking tennis instructor's dick to come here, okay? Thank you.
Okay, well, first of all, I only do mouth stuff with him, so that joke
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
even
sure.
work.
I'm sure.
He has chlamydia.
Oh, I wonder where he got that from. Okay.
My daughter, okay? I will have you know.
Disgusting.
She's very empowered.
Absolutely disgusting. I suggest the next place you go after this is straight to a clinic. Get tested for every STD possible.
You can't get something that you already have.
Okay.
They call me the walking petri dish of Calabasas.
You have the money to go ahead and pay for all these little medicines that you need, so you go ahead and you use that up. Because you'll need it. I guess you do need it more than us. Disgusting.
Yeah. Well,
you are
fun.
a disgusting vermin piece of shit.
Well, when you're rifling for all your little coupons that you can afford your medicine at fucking CVS or Walgreens or whatever, I hope you remember this conversation. I have a little sad peppermint that you left at the bottom of your bag. It's stuck to your finger. And you look around to make sure no one's watching, and then you suck the sugar off. And that little burst of sugar is pretty much the only hit of dopamine that you're gonna get, unless maybe you turn your TV on and realize that there's a rerun of The Big Bang Theory that you can watch while you zone out eating ice cream. Not even Haagen-Dazs, that cheap shit that comes in a bucket.
Don't all ice creams come in a bucket? See, this is what I mean. You talk just to hear yourself talk. You're not even making any fucking sense with the words that are coming out of your mouth.
You see, this is how I can tell you're impoverished, because the only authentic way to eat gelato is out of the cavernous clavicle of a hot Italian model.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Poppy. Wish could say it was a pleasure, but unfortunately it was not. I wish you the best of luck in all your journeys and your many thriving businesses that you have.
Well, if you guys want to hear more from me, just know that I will be giving a TED Talk about the importance of how to be a girl boss while running a sweatshop. It was great talking to you.